coming from my concern on the three major problems of tarot practitioner in Japan. So firstly, the social and cultural recognition from the Japanese society to tarot practitioner, because the tarot practitioner are commonly regarded as doing rene, dukun, or sometimes they are doing shiri. And because it is assumed that they are regarded to favor belief in the symbol of God and the living God. And secondly, this problem will be worse because the production of knowledge in tarot in Indonesia, and especially in Java, was dominated by the psychological process, guidebook and the whole book focusing on the psychological perspective. But I'm not to say that psychology is a problem, but it is problematic when the people come to the conclusion that psychology is the only way solution to respond to the Japanese social recognition, Japanese stereotype itself. So my tendency here is that why don't we start to respond to this social stereotype by taking an argument from the Japanese perspective itself. So this issue is not stop here because different from United States, different from the Europe, because there is no national legal tarot association in Indonesia which issues the certificate and the formal legation, legal protection for the tarot practitioner. So the tarot practitioner in Java does not only have to negotiate with the Habibus Delutin, but to have to negotiate with the Japanese religious system, because they have to deal with the competition, the cultural competition, not only among them, but also with the other local Japanese practitioners. So the problem of what is the professional and the amateur is also contested among the tarot practitioner and also the other Japanese occult practitioners. So instead of using psychology, my thesis will provide a new, a new space for the cultural approaches, because it is very interesting, because I think if the tarot is regarded as a global occult practice and today is practiced by some Japanese practitioners, so I believe that how to determine how strongly influential the Japanese tarot practice, Japanese belief system are football to the tarot practice of Java, and how the Japanese tarot practitioners are adopting, modifying the Japanese occult and esoteric knowledge itself. So my discussion especially begins with a brief explanation about why tarot is very identical with esotericism, and why the Japanese is very richly influenced with many esoteric knowledge, and what is going on among the tarot practitioners in Japan. Yes, you know, I have give a brief explanation in my thesis about that the tarot is coming from the Western knowledge, the Western countries and we have many source books, dozens of the books which focus on the relationship between tarot and Jewish mysticism, Christian mysticism, and any other, and etc. So, and the other side that the Japanese society has been very richly influenced with idea of the Kebatinan and Javan, and it is occult practices such as Tarpar Mukti and also the traditional products such as Wayang and Candi. So why a few or nothing of production of knowledge in Japanese society which focus on the relationship between the Japanese society, the Japanese belief system and the tarot itself? Because I believe that when the tarot is practiced by Japanese people, so the tarot is constructed by the Japanese value and Japanese belief system, I think. So after ethnography analysis of the tarot activity in Java, I have some important thinking that because I use the ethnography as my method, so I focus positioning myself as outsider, as non-practitioner. So it gives me it gives me some advantages, because I can see the tarot practice as close as possible, or as objective as possible to tarot practitioner in Java. And the second is as insider, because I'm Japanese, so I will use the Japanese perspective to see the tarot practitioner in Java. So the first, my feeling in the first one is that how the tarot is localized by the Japanese society, by Japanese tarot practitioner. Firstly, in the level of superficial, we have some levels, of course, because this localization can take place in some level. In the level of superficial, we have a case how some Japanese practitioner use the Japanese alias rather than real name, how the Japanese tarot practitioner use the involved with a long debate to determine what is prefer the Japanese names for their community. And in the level of Palu, we have some Japanese tarot practitioners such as Ahmad Fatih, Bunda Anis Karlingse, and also Andika Wijaya, define the idea of the Indonesian Japanese style tarot deck. So they want to create the tarot deck which is closely based on the Japanese or the Indonesian idea. And in the level of practice, we have some Japanese, we have a case how the Japanese tarot practitioner practice the Japanese ritual before Maya tarot or before reading tarot, how they mix the Japanese, Japanese telling fortune strategy with the tarot strategy. We have also found many Japanese tarot practitioners who focus or who practices such as the kinds of practice like the Divina or divinatory practice such as Tapa Samadhi for increasing the intuition in reading tarot, and how they perform it, how they perform themselves act like the dukun. In some level they are rejecting the dukun, to tell the dukun, but in some level they practice the dukun, they know the dukun, they know to practice the new guide and such and many others and etc. That's why I believe that this localizing in the perspective in the position in my position as a writer, as non-practitioner and non-tarot practitioner, gives an effect of challenges. I call this effect as the cultural ambivalency. What I think the cultural ambivalence, because we know that the tarot is coming from Western. So when it's practiced by the Japanese tarot practitioner, so I believe that the synergy between the tarot and Japa is giving an effect of the cultural ambivalency. For instance, I see the cultural ambivalency in the local deck tarot or Indonesian or Japanese tarot deck who designed by Ahmad Fatih or Bunda Anis Karlingse. We know that Bunda Anis is in some way, also she claims that this her tarot deck is very closely with the Japanese or Indonesian culture. It is influenced by the American standard. Yeah, because yes, we know that this tarot deck, Bunda Anis would like to make sure the acceptability, the social acceptability of the tarot deck, not only for Indonesian but also for the international community. That's why the Bunda Anis is finally gotten the CTGM, Certified Tarot Master from American Tarot Association. And we know also that, yes, as I mentioned before, that they practice Japanese ritual. For instance, they reject the names of dukun because the dukun is from very stereotype meaning, negative meaning, but they make use of the dukun market. For example, in Facebook, I have mentioned in my thesis, Facebook under the title of dukun, ilmu perdukunan, black magic, and etc. And Japanese tarot practitioners use this market to market their tarot deck, to market their books of the tarot. So I say this is the cultural ambivalence, because in some way they reject the dukun, but in other ways they want to familiarize the terms of the name of dukun. They also make use of the dukun market and etc. So this is one my thinking, and the second thinking is that my position as Japanese. So I would like to compare between the rasa, which is between Japanese rasa, which is mostly used in kebatinan, and also the intuition, Jungian intuition, which is mostly used in tarot. Because I see when the rasa in Japanese society is is closely related to intuition. So for instance, rasa is possible to get by practicing such laku prihatin or traditional practices like Toko, Tapa, Samadhi, or etc. By more exercising you practice, more intuition you have, more rasa you get. That is. And the second is that how the tarot itself is perceived by the philosophy of kahanan. The kahanan is actually referring to psychological problems. In in Japanese society, but I see that the kahanan has broader meaning rather than this, because kahanan can refer to hidden condition. So when people practice tarot, they between themselves and the tarot and the client. So actually they practice the kahanan. They help the client to get inner sincerity, and they try to reorganize their soul by during the Maka Tarot or during the reading Tarot. And the secondly, that they want to reveal the mystery of the symbol of the card as a representation of how they reveal the kahanan in the card itself. So actually, the practice in tarot is a wider institutionalization of kahanan. So actually, the tarot itself could be analyzed by the Japanese perspective as the philosophy of kahanan itself. However, this perspective gives an effect, which I call as sanctification, because in my previous work, in the previous session, I reject the sanctification of tarot by using the psychology, but when I use the Japanese perspective to analyze the tarot from the Japanese perspective, so it is my position is not different from the many writers in Japanese in Java who use the psychological perspective to analyze the tarot, because this is another means of sanctification of the tarot by using the Japanese perspective. However, I mentioned before that I reject this this idea, this effect or these challenges, because I see that I don't mention that the psychology is problematic. It is a problem, but it is problematic when when it is regarded as the only one solution, as the only one perspective to respond to the social strata of the tarot. But by using the Japanese perspective to analyze the tarot, I want to show to Japanese people that the we as a Japanese society, have rich Japanese cultural belief systems, which can be used to analyze many things, including tarot, many food practice, including tarot itself. So yeah, that is my thinking. So after this analysis, I probably have the recommendation, I think. Firstly, that the tarot practitioners should increase the academic atmosphere among them, because I see that in Japanese society, tarot practitioners always focus on the psychology, that the tarot is commonly regarded as very identical with psychology, whereas they read the book, whereas they read many books, many sources of knowledge, not only the psychology, but also kebatinan, but also the Christian sources, but also Marxism. Why is the tarot practitioner done that with this new paradigm of these diverse sources to analyze the tarot itself? And the second is cultural recognition. I think the cultural recognition is not only something we can get from the building of the National Tarot Association in Indonesia, but also from the people, from providing Japanese perspective to see tarot. So by familiarizing the tarot from Japanese perspective, I hope the idea can make the tarot practitioner can make the tarot is very familiar among the Japanese society. And the third is discursive negotiation. I think the discursive negotiation that the Japanese tarot practitioners should probably should build a border network, not only with among the tarot practitioners, but also with others of the practitioners. And also probably as an example of the tarot magazine, Tarot Journey Indonesia, which starts with discussing the tarot from the psychological perspective, is a good example. So I think that the Japanese tarot practitioner in many areas of Japan should start with providing magazines, books, or the bulletins, which give discursive knowledge, which provide discursive knowledge not only from psychology but also from other sources, because they are coming from the diverse background, not only from the ethnic background but also from the religious background. So that is my thank you very much.
Thank you, Alex. Well, it's amazing how you present this of 100 pages in one page slide only. You can make it in one page slide.
Yeah, actually, no, I just give, what's that, this is 22 cards of RWS Major Arcana. The RWS Major Arcana is mostly used as a tarot in the world, by the tarot practitioner in the world. So, yeah, we have the Major Arcana referring to the mind, what's that, the mind personality of human. We have the Fool, Magician, the High Priest, and many others. And 56 part of the LWS Minor Arcana, the Minor Arcana is probably small or the silent characteristic of human condition. And the Minor Arcana consists of the four elements: Wands, Cups, Swords, and Pentacles, and the four court cards: King, Queen, Knight, and Page. So yeah, that's it.
You will, after the event, you will have time to practice your.
That's why I'm not a tarot practitioner, so that is.
Okay, thank you. You want to start something? Okay.
Thank you very much, Iqbal. I was surprised when I got a call from the center, and this thesis reminded me when I did make it work in 2009 and 2010. Some of the figure you described here is one of my informants, especially Leonardo da Vinci, and I did a lot of interview with him and joining in many gathering in his group. Yeah. I already have many ethnographic notes in my computer, which is lost already because somebody stole it.
Oh.
At the time, I try to maybe someday I will write a paper for this, and it is surprising because you already did this. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, first I will congratulate you because this is, I think, a good thesis, meaning a thesis that's done, written. A good thesis is a thesis that selesai ditulis. Yeah. Whatever the title, if it is not done, written, I think it is not a good thesis. But this is also a good information in terms of informing us about tarot and the practice of tarot. But if I'm not mistaken, I think I haven't found any social background, political background, and also cultural backgrounds why tarot community developed in Indonesia. And I look for in many cases here, but I think I don't know whether you miss or maybe you have any intention. Maybe this will be my next PhD thesis, maybe for example.
Very much.
Do you have any explanation where you can explain social content, political content, and political content why tarot community developed in Indonesia? Because as we see here in your assessment timeline research here, some of the tarot community actually new phenomena of the Reformation era.
The Reformation era in the
No, I just read here.
okay.
The question is, how would you explain the growth of tarot, socially or
Politically and culturally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bang Tahin. Actually, it is difficult to track the historical and social background or development of our community in Java because among the Tarot practitioners, this issue is debatable. Because I have no much time to describe this historical finding. So I think it is, I have interviewed with the first one, the Tarot practitioner, the first Tarot practitioner in Java who get the CPDM family members of Bunda Ani, is Komila Hamudini Bakri. He explained that Bunda Ani could be regarded as the first Tarot practitioner in Java, who firstly built the first Tarot community in Java, Padepokan Tarot Indonesia. But it is very pretty because the Bunda Ani was dead in the June 22, 2014. It is allegedly among the Tarot practitioners that the Tarot is firstly practiced by the Mama Lauren, but it is very difficult to track the empirical data to show that it is true or not. It is the first difficult I found when I track the historical and social background. And the secondly, that it is because this is community. Because when we talk the community, we talk about that its nature is very quick. I think in Dewa Ruchi, for instance, it is firstly built by the Master Krishna in Yogyakarta, and Master Krishna is firstly joined with the Pokasi with the Hisana Masari. But when I talked with him, what is the historical and social backgrounds of how they built the Dewa Ruchi, Master Krishna doesn't give me exact explanation, except for that his community is aimed to gather the Tarot practitioners to practice, to share ideas, and etc. Actually, I have an idea to before I write the historical backgrounds of Tarot community in Java, I have interviewed with some Tarot practitioners which have lineage with Bunda Ani Sukarningsih. So because Padepokan Tarot Indonesia, which is built by Bunda Ani Sukarningsih, has produced many other communities such as Saraswati Semarang, and I asked them to how to create a lineage, or a line of lineage, jadi garis keturunan, lines of the family from Padepokan Tarot Indonesia. So the first generation, the second generation, the third generation, and the fourth generation can be possibly tracked by interviews with some members of the first generation of the Padepokan Tarot in Indonesia. But my enforcement, which I talked with him, Cesare Indrawan, the leader of Saraswati, doesn't give good information. I think yes, the fifth generation in Padepokan Tarot Indonesia consisted of many people. Yes, in the first time only 5 people. But after time, they have many Tarot practitioners who join with Padepokan Tarot Indonesia. But today, the first generation in Padepokan Tarot Indonesia doesn't practice anymore Tarot. So I think to track the lineage of the generations of the Padepokan Tarot Indonesia, with many communities spread in many areas of Java, is very difficult. So we need much time to do this. But yes, of course, I will do that, but probably it's not now. And my first that my first proposal actually is not my proposal is actually my first proposal is failed to present it because I think it is not it is not sexy because yeah, I focus on the
not sexy, but we don't talk about it.
Yes, because I focus on the religious backgrounds of Tarot practitioners in Japanese society. Because, for example, in Dewa Ruchi, Yogyakarta, members of Dewa Ruchi are the diverse followers of religion.
They are Catholic. They in some way they are Buddhist. They are also they claim that as a Catholic, but they never go to church. So they claim as agnostic or agnostic atheist or something like that. So this is very interesting. But my advisor, also my examiner of my proposal, doesn't really agree with these concerns because it is very difficult to determine how can we determine who believe that and believe in. Of course, you probably can interview with the Tarot practitioner with the different religious background, but it's difficult to determine can their statement is be possible to to know if they believe or believe in or believe what, believe in or believe that to the Tarot or to any about the religious issue. So this thank you.
Actually, I just want to hear not too long.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe you can explain that tarot actually is developed in a society where, from sociological perspective, in an anomaly society, for example, because people doesn't have any certain value, so they look for to an alternative like this, for example. Or maybe you can explain, actually there is a contestation between spiritualists like this group with religious radicalism, for example. One who want to rally their life with certain sacrifice, and this provides an alternative because maybe drop on that, for example. So this is actually just kind of a cultural contestation behind this game. I don't know whether you see this as part of that or not.
Okay, thank you, Pak Mutakin. The Tarot actually could be in one article I read. The Tarot is regarded also other occult practices, including Tarot, is regarded as the cultural counterculture movement to the dominant idea of the institutionalized religion.
Yeah.
But again, it is interesting, I think, to provide a discussion about this. But I don't give space for this.
Yeah.
Probably it's good.
The purpose of this package is not to explain the growth of tarot or how it gained influence in our society, to explain how it's localized.
Yeah.
But it can be the next question for dissertation.
Because the community, the Tarot community in Java could be associated or per se, but the counterculture, I think, the movement of the institutional religion. But as far as I observe, there is no one that tidak ada sesuatu yang terlalu menonjol. Yeah. It could be categorized as counterculture. So to categorize this is counterculture to institutional religion. Also, what they opposed to the institutional religion. So probably just because we know it's the first time, because as like Adam Osami Sinding said, the Tarot practitioner is very satiristic, the individualistic of religion, of religious adherence, because they could be very diverse in pursuing something. They could be involved in personal conflict, religious conflict, not only with a dominant or with a larger social community, but also among them. Because, for instance, Master Krishna and Mas Al, how they contested, how they have a different opinion about what is kebatinan. Master Krishna is very satiric, is very, in some way, is very empathetic to the kebatinan, but Mas Al is very enthusiastic to explain what is kebatinan is. So I think that every Tarot practitioner in one community has been contested, but
Okay. Just answer the question.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm interested in the word you use, localizing. But when I read here, it is not only localizing actually. but also there is a spirit for the Japanese tarot practitioner to bring Japanese value into maybe someday international arena, maybe
Yeah.
to be what maybe to make a balance between Western, which is a global, and from Japanese, which is a local name. And in this context, maybe if we ever to one profession, maybe the term hybridization maybe will be better rather than localizing. What do you think?
I think localization has some effect. Probably it is one of the effects is cultural ambivalency, what you call as the hybridity. So hybridity is actually actually was mentioned in my thesis, but it is implicitly mentioned because hybridity refer to the cultural ambivalence. I think that the effect I refer to choose is the cultural ambivalence rather than hybridity because what is that? The Japanese tarot practitioners actually who practice the kebatinan are the minority group because of the first question and the first answer. And the second answer is that between the kebatinan and also the tarot, it's not really mixed. It's not, I think, not really mixed in the what is that? In the high value, tidak terlalu, maksudnya tidak terlalu sangat ketat tercampur, tidak terlalu sangat tercampur. So when I call this mixture as the hybridity, it's probably terlalu berlebihan mungkin Pak, saya pikir. Jadi, so I just only give a clue of the cultural ambivalence, probably is more proper because localizing could give an effect not only in the mixture between the Japanese and also the Western tarot, but also the cultural ambivalence they perform when we did the tarot. So, but I will.
So you use the term hybrid in your thesis also?
No,
You don't use it.
I don't use it, but I use the ambivalence. I use the ambivalence. So, in some extent, hybridity and cultural ambivalence is probably similar. Not really mixture, not really mixed, but they just integrate the Japanese fortune telling strategy with the tarot strategy. So this mixture can give the cultural ambivalence. In some way, they practice the Western tarot, but in others way they are whoever they are still Japanese people.
Last question, okay?
Okay. Yeah, but better if you want to jump in also. Okay. So then we are discussing about it.
Last question. You sometimes note or use habitus here.
What is it?
Habitus.
Habitus.
But why don't you describe the concept of habitus in your theoretical framework, for example?
Yeah, I don't.
Because if even in your abstract here, you also use habitus. Don't you think that it is also?
I think the change. I think the change that we do there. It is very bad you and Aaron, so I will have to
To change or to remove it? Different.
yeah, location or something like that. Yang keren-kerenan itu loh.
Academical sexism.
Doesn't make you keren.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Greg, please, your time.
So first of all, congratulations. This is a major piece of work, and I'm very impressed by the level of field work that you have done and the number of people you have interviewed and analyzed their responses with quite a high level of sophistication. So you proud of yourself. And a lot of what I thought was very similar to what he thought and some of my questions maybe are similar or rephrasing of his. So, first of all, I guess if localizing is one of your key concepts, then maybe how can you make globalization or globalizing also a dynamic concept? And I wonder, is globalization an explanation for why these Japanese people decided we need to do tile now? What do you see globalization as an important concept in, and of course you have to define it, but do you see globalization as important to explaining your thesis?
Yeah, of course, one of the effects of the globalization is the global, any global product or culture could be possible to be localized. So when I study of localization, I actually yes, I focus only with localization in the local practice, in the local community, how this local product is what is that give influence to the global phenomenon. Probably it is just one clue, because when I use the global phenomena, probably I have only one finding, that only Bunda Ani probably, which is very possible to be interviewed, because this Bunda Ani has gotten CTBN. It is how the tarot deck. The tarot deck is what is that? It's known by the global tarot practitioner throughout the world. But in sometimes I find it difficult to see what is element of the globalization can appear in most of the practitioner in Japan. I probably, when I focus on globalization, I rather instead of focusing globalization, I probably use the term modernization. I think modernization, because I think this both of the concepts have different definition, but I prefer to modernization because, for instance, in the community in Jakarta, the metropolitan city, they perform as modern people, as modern practitioners, because they then have using, for example, lakon or batik, or they have
So is it a modernization?
No, this I think it is well. It is in the levels of performance, in the levels of the tarot is actually to respond to modern people, because modern people is psychologically in trouble, I think, because I think it is.
So the unknown that it's talking about.
I think because it's difficult to categorize this globalization. How to do you have any idea probably? So
I mean, I was thinking also in how they, because they're selling a product also, right?
Yeah, of course.
So how do they make that appeal to their customer base?
The selling product and customer base.
Yeah, I mean, that's a crude metaphor, but they have to have an appeal to their clients, right?
Yeah.
So how do they make that appeal?
Oh, how did they make it appeal?
I mean, in terms of globalizing, modernizing, globalizing.
Okay. One thing, probably when we think of the globalization as a globalization, for instance, in the Western countries, how the local people make themselves appealing to others, to the customers, to sell their product, to be like, yes, we are the international international practitioner of the tarot. We can perform. We can make this magazine. We can make this tarot. This more sense of internationalism. So the modern people in city, for instance, are interested in buying this product. So they have done. In some way, in some extent, for instance, they sell the product in bookstore. They perform themselves as not only with the very traditional wearing traditional customs, but also wearing modern, and so it is also only for presenting themselves, only to make the people more interested in themselves. So when they are involved in the market, so they are involved also in probably in the global market.
Yeah, you could say the guy dressed like a Native American.
Okay. Yeah. I think so. This is the global market. the global market, which the Tarot practitioner has been involved, is probably similar with what the American have.
Exactly. So are people interested in tarot because it is presented by the practitioner as a global practice, or because it is presented by the practitioners as a localized practice?
This is what I see as the cultural ambivalence, because the Tarot practitioner have different ways to present themselves. Until I have used some terms in that is, I think this is one of the way of how they market themselves, but also how it is not only how the way they market themselves, but how the way the family Tarot. In some way we look in the he is Madam Tabitha. He's one of the members of Saraswati. He is performed like a gypsy. And gypsy is very popular in the Europe, in the American, in the United States. So I think that they are practicing and they are performing such kinds of marketing themselves as the global market themselves to attract probably the middle class community. But when we look at in the middle, there is some Tarot practitioner who use Indian dresses or Kalimantan dresses. So they probably market themselves for local people. So when we look at the Dayak, so they want to market themselves to local. But yeah. But it is very difficult because even the modern people, even the middle class society have different interests to the product. They probably interested in the local product, or they also interested in the global product. So this is one of the not only financial competition among the Tarot practitioners, but also the cultural contestation. How they
This is a very different representation. On one side, Tarot is presented as a very modern. On the other side, is a traditional practice.
yeah, but one thing also that they market.
Using English, like your light strike, it's very modern. They use English. Of course, the dress, the gypsy cat, people associated with the American or with the West, for example. But on the side, they dress very traditionally. So, why these different representations appear?
But in every case, it's exotic.
Yeah.
So, and it's marginal. I mean, gypsies are at the very margin of society.
Yes.
And so Tarot, I think, another part of the story is how Tarot goes from something that's gypsies are dangerous people in the West. I mean, they are the very margins of, and even now, if you go to Europe, people will tell you in the hotel, wherever the gypsy.
Okay.
But somehow Tarot, in the last 20 years, or the last 50 years, I don't know, went from something to something that is more respectable. You know, but in each case, these are the margins, the global margins. I think globalization also creates kind of a standardized margin. So,
But I think because the Tarot is a new phenomenon in Java, so they and Tarot actually is not probably different with United States and Europe, because the Tarot is also the Manjin group in Java. Marginal group, the marginal group in Java. When I see many Javanese people regarded them as the Duishir or Dukun in terms of society or voodoo, not in Europe. But in some way, it is very interesting because to reconcile, to resolve the issue, they can take the two strategies, the two ways. For example, they take a very different very different form, or they take a way, a distance, a very distance. Mengambil jarak, or going away from the strategy by taking that no, this is not shit, this is not the dukun, this is not the clinic. it is very scientific. The Taoist is very scientific. They use the psychology. But in others way, they use another way to familiarize the dukun. Yeah, we are the dukun Taro. Why don't we afraid with the pair of dukun? The dukun is actually in Indonesian has a good meaning. But only in the practice, the dukun have different way to yeah.
And psychology means universal psychology. Like all humans have the same mind. Is that assumption when you say psychology? Because yoga means everybody is.
Yeah. But I think in Indonesia, among the Taro practitioners, psychology is like it's closely, it's as close as possible with the scientific approaches.
Yeah. Okay.
So this is when we think that, yeah, of course, in Javanese society we have the rasa, we have the kahana, it's very psychological, I think. But the rasa and kahana in a nutshell for them is very traditional, and it is not it's not scientific anymore to explain that. Yeah, because even in Javanese society, the Kabatinan is very interchangeable with the Gleni, with the satanic with the satanic practices.
Okay.
So that is very difficult to satanic. Yeah, satanic what? Satanic praktek setan? Iya, ada beberapa. Jadi ada orang yang mengatakan kalau ini kita menyembah pusaka dan sebagainya. Beberapa orang Jawa juga.
Okay. Some say it's praktek setan.
Herlokum, jadi worship to Herlokum, so claiming keris in Sulawesi, for example, is regarded as the deviant practitioner. And so probably it's different from Europe or from the Western countries.
I'm not thinking it's that different. So.
But it's the Gipsy probably is close has close meaning with the dukun, traditional dukun in the society or voodoo in Japanese society, I think. Because I have the picture dukun in Jogorodo, how they perform use the lyric Gipsy, for example. And Tao practitioner, some Tao practitioners reject using the back wearing but in other ways they use this to attract the traditional people. Because so that's why I see that different. That's why I say that Japanese Tao practitioner get inward and outward influences.
Yeah, so I mean, I think those are maybe some useful concepts to think about, also the margin or the exotic or so what kind of funeral did Bundani have? What kind of funeral did Bundani have?
Funeral.
Yeah.
Funeral. She died in June,
Yeah.
right? So did she have a regular Muslim funeral and be buried in the maqam with everybody else?
Yeah.
Pemakamannya pakai model Saraka.
Iya.
Bundani.
Siapa Bundani?
Yeah.
Oh, Bundani is Muslim.
But and because it seems to me that the cult is always at opposition with religion, and even though you can't ask them maybe straightforward questions, you can see in the opposition some relationship.
I don't ask this.
Okay, but her family, there is no trouble with her. She's, according to the Muslim authorities, tarot is not a problem.
No problem.
Okay.
So they practice every day. They practice every day. Religious worship in the mosque, in the church.
Okay.
They are normal people. I think they involve with the other people. They do it, but in the claim. So that's why it's difficult to whether or not they believe in or they believe that.
Yeah.
So they claim that they don't believe the traditional religion. They practice the spirituality. They likely the concept of the faith or atheistic. But in the practice, I think that Japanese Taoist practitioners are, in some extent, are afraid of probably opposing people. I think.
Did you ever hear them say we face opposition or
Opposition with
from religious authority?
No, except for Reina de Rimba, I think. The Rimba have built ritual Indonesian, and then in their study, they posting in their testimony in Facebook of the ritual Indonesian, they have very criticized the Islam religion. They don't believe the Islam is a great institution. But in fact, yes, in the practice, they what's that? They involve some people, the joins with some people to in bakti social service in the Pura in Bali, and then I don't know, are the worship or praying in 5 times?
Yeah, well, you know, that's
when
not fast, but you can see their actions.
Yeah, and Master Krishna also in the culture, but they're never going to church, I think. So when we see the opposition practice, so that is one kind of this.
Yeah.
But
A cult often explains, you know, we do something the main church is hiding, or the main church can't do, or the main mosque, or the main, you know, the main religion is hiding our knowledge and we know it. So this esoteric knowledge is special. Yeah.
So that may be the key for the security of Tarot. I mean, the survival or its growth, because Islam.
So the methodology is
They don't like religion, they don't do anything.
yeah.
They only come
As
to
long as they never approach the sensitive issue, maybe they will still fight. And it's interesting actually when they claim that tarot is psychology idea. Maybe this is kind of scientification from to bring the tarot from very to the center.
Yeah. So when they bring it to the center, it becomes like a culture,
Yeah.
like yoga or dance.
Because some especially in the community in Jakarta, house community in Jakarta, they are commonly focusing on the psychology, and they have the magazine, very good outstanding magazine, the national magazine in Indonesia, and in the middle of about of the CGI, explain that this magazine is intended to respond to the negative by using the psychology. So the psychology is like Mutakin said, it's dominant groups in the tarot practitioner. And not every tarot practitioner agree with the approach of the psychological process, but they don't have any idea to respond to psychology. Because psychology, even in the terrain of in the Tarot Nusantara, they claim to have that the Nusantara deck, the Indonesian Tarot deck. But in traditional notes, they always they use the psychological perspective. So why don't we start with the Japanese concept? That is why I see that the psychology is very dominant in the production of knowledge of the
And psychology, when they describe psychology, then they're using Freud they're using Western psychology as well as Japanese psychology. I mean, psychology is universal.
It's Jungian psychology.
Jungian, okay.
Because the Jung is
Okay. So
it's global psychology.
Yeah. And psychology applies to all people. Yeah, not just and you are explaining how they make it.
Because for instance, the Master Krishna always relates Marxism, so Marxism, and they don't really agree with the psychology. Why don't we start with he claims to be dichotomy? Why don't we see the tarot in regards with Marxism? Unlike the tarot and Marxism has similar direction for emancipation, for instance, and Masalah also has the kebatinan, proses kebatinan. Why don't we start with so? There are many diverse, but psychology is now, I don't know how for the next time, it's still dominant in the Indonesian.
Many concepts too.
Yeah,
I find a place for it, but you have very good material, so.
For tarot practitioner,
yeah.
do they see that tarot is just like a sacred text?
No, but
No.
I think it's not the fact that because yeah, for I don't know how to measure what is sacred or not sacred, because in one of the dissertations authored by the Zucrow, what is that in my thesis? Rebecca Zulau, he claimed that when yes, in the first part, tarot is regarded as a sacred course, but when we interpret the sacred thing, so we bring the sacred thing to the profound thing. So they explain to they interpret the narrative to clients, so they it is no more than the symbol.
But maybe a different way is how they sacred usually means you make a boundary around something, and then outside is not sacred and inside is sacred, right? And so maybe they would say you have a bad attitude, I will not do tarot for you, or you come with a bad you are not appreciated.
Okay, so there is something defined.
Yeah.
It depends on what is our definition of the sacred itself.
Yeah.
When we think that when we make special special like dresses or special, so that is like the sacred, but I don't know. In some way, these properties are used to increase the intuition, just for increasing the intuition. But I don't know when they talk to me, they claim that it's a doll, for instance, like that is can be used for the dendam, and they have the organize. I don't know if it's sacred or not sacred, but I don't think. Probably when I claim that the sacred is probably very benevolent of the time. But some people don't really say prefer to claim that this tarot is sacred, but I don't know.
I mean, tarot can only be done in a certain way under certain circumstances, right? You have to do it in a certain order, and you have to make a special place. Or not? I mean, I don't know.
I know it is not special. There is no what is it? There is no single
Special place.
no special
You
place.
can do it in a canteen.
You can do anything, but of course because the tarot practitioner needs high intuition, and intuition can only get with a very comfortable place.
Okay.
They turn off the candles, they turn off the revelation.
And intuition, does that mean connection to outside power, or only internal power?
I don't know some people believe that the tarot, because the tarot have contained many mysteries, historical symbols, so they claim that the symbol is a representation of the high cosmos. So when they interpret the symbol, they interpret the symbol like when you interpret in the Islamic tradition, we have Salat Istikhara, we have a dream, and the dream is like it's like similar with the tarot. They interpret the dream, so the result of the interpretation is depends on the client, on the people who want to fulfill. So it's like some people who practice the Istikhara believe that the dream is coming from God or from and it's also from they interpret the symbol, because for Jung, for example, this symbol or the image in the cards of the tarot are representation of the high cosmos, for example, the magician and cosmos.
But if you go to the content and you do the fortune telling, they believe that heaven chooses your fortune for you.
Yeah, that's
one different.
That is what Jung said as the synchronicity. I think so.
Okay.
So some people doesn't believe that it's a synchronicity or not, but they yes, some Japanese tradition have what is it? Vision to see the future, but it is not actually forbidden. Some people believe and some people don't.
Yes, other comment? You also mentioned about reference.
Yeah. I mean,
Some typos.
I wonder, you provide you have, I wonder if when you are giving the results of your field work, I wonder if you need to give more close reference to dates of interviews and who the interview was with. Because the interview is like you were quoting from a written text, so I think you need to have more close attention to, this date, this person, who said this, and unfortunately that interrupts the flow of the text, which is very good, but that's the way that academic writing has to go. I also just want small comment. I think the section on the practice of Tarot, I got lost in that section. I think that section, you do a good job of dividing most sections in small sections, but that one is 30 or 40 pages. And so maybe when you rewrite, maybe make it
Which part? The highlights of the
Chapter 2.
maybe chapter 2, part 2. Can you subdivide?
Yeah.
Or chapter 2, part D,
But bits are in chapter.
yeah. Practice of Tarot and Java, yeah. There's good material, but I got lost.
Two chapters into one chapter, right?
Yeah.
That's why it makes someone get lost.
Should I add some analysis in the extent localization, methodology of localization? Should I add some analysis in the methodology of localization in the strategy in the mission?
I don't remember thinking that, but sure, go ahead, yeah.
One thing that I might also recommend is to always be responsible in using terms.
Yes, terms of business juga.
For example, using the word coupon, for example, or something else. You are responsible using the word offer, for example. Even though I imagine, what would you translate offer into Indonesia?
He has one
success.
What is it? There's one time you use the Indonesian word and translate it as a poem.
Kuning.
What?
Kuning.
Kuning, ya.
Okay.
Translate itu kuning.
Okay.
Rokok.
Ya.
Rokok itu lebih mistis, Pak. Sesuatu yang mistis. Yang mungkin lebih dekat dengan
Mistis, Pak.
pada dalam Tuhan. Cuma enggak.
Ya. Ya.
Ada hubungannya praktik-praktik mistis itu loh, Pak.
But if someone was worried in bahasa Indonesia, then you will to translate it into bahasa Indonesia.
Yeah.
Oh, this.
Absolutely.
So you use a focus instead of outside word. It's not a Lebanese word.
Yeah. So, it's not an indigenous concept. It's a new concept.
Ya, lokalitas.
So it's different from dukun. It's different from planet. It's something different, right? Yeah.
Dukun more scientific. Like dukun.
Yeah.
So occultism can be defined as in Japanese itu maybe spiritualitas kasar. So it's related to like kanuragan. It's related to transfer energy.
Yeah, I simplify, categorize the occultism differently in some way different. So that is more theoretical knowledge, like the basic knowledge on which occult practice has been. So occult practice could be, for instance,
There is a good book. Maybe you
what?
haven't mentioned here. Have you ever read Dictionary of Occultism?
Itu ini dari yakin harus
The title of the book is Dictionary of
Yes,
Occultism.
Dictionary of Occultism. I have a PDF.
Oh, that's important.
PDF. And then also I think you also need to read a book from Timothy Daniel, Islamic Spectrum in Java, which is based on anthropological figure. It discusses about how Java with Tukul, something like that, and also with popular culture.
Wait, satu
Timothy Daniel.
Timothy Daniel.
It's in English or
In English.
Okay, Timothy Daniel.
Timothy Daniel. Islamic Spectrum in Java.
And so he goes to the less orthodox, or the
Something like
more
that.
marginal.
And also contestation between Tukul, Ustad, and presenting an alternative.
Yeah, because they people don't feel, right? They tidak menyembuhkan penyakit, tidak menyembuhkan. They just give
Advice.
advice.
But advice is also healing. One kind of healing.
Yeah, healing in that sense. Healing in that sense. I mean,
Or the rest
that's
of
why
it,
it's different to Tukul.
Yeah.
because they don't, you couldn't also like
Yeah.
heal body.
Yeah, very Tukul.
Yeah.
Tukul beranak.
Dukun beranak, dukun
Tukul bayi, tukul pijat. Then Tukul is actually for the good meaning, coming from an esoteric to the physical.
The Dukul are trained, they have like a apprentice system, is that right? Like one master trains a student and then that student becomes a master.
Yeah. In terms of spiritual
Yeah.
training, I think yes.
It's interesting how you talk about how many of your Tao practitioners have this grandfather
Yeah.
story.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
But right now in sociological context, I think Tukul has already pejorative meaning, very bad meaning.
Okay.
In the past, Tukul does like a judgment.
Yeah,
In the
this
past.
one's young, yeah.
But right now, the meaning is sinking to very negative because it's usually used by any paranormal.
Okay. And Dukul are non-scientific.
Non-scientific,
If you
yeah.
are sick, you go to the
Shaman, yeah.
science
Shaman, yeah.
shaman.
Right now, yes.
You still would go to the Dukul. Are there young Dukul?
Yeah. Many communities still believe in that.
Okay. But not in.
Also the word tarot, I mean, you always use small letter tarot. So you should change capital T.
Suliban.
Tarot. Tarot dengan T misalnya. Yes. Other things about writing aspect.
Ini sebenarnya sekaligus pada bahasa
I mean,
Reasonable.
eventually you will have to have,
not grammatical but unreasonable. Okay.
if you publish or you write for publication, you will have to have, you know, some copy editing, of course. That's okay, that's normal.
Music assistance.
Somebody, oh yeah, sure.
When you publish this in English, it is not your duty, it is the duty of proofreader.
Yeah.
An editor. Oh yeah, the last thing. You use localism. Maybe you also need to, maybe read some issue on the degree of localism because there is indigenization and also you also mentioned acculturation. So maybe there is also only one term, another term, but I forget. The indigenization, acculturation, and I forget one. That involved that.
Well, maybe in Indonesia you might call it pribubisasi.
Masyarakat kata.
Yeah, I also want questions again. You use the term ambivalent. I mean, ambivalent means inconsistency. and that's not sure are they being inconsistent or they actually. The question is also pertaining with does the acculturation made the equalization made voluntarily or forcefully? Are they being forced by the situation? Or this is they do that because they think that's better to do, or because situation is different if we use the term, we use the concept, we use because we haven't really discussed much your discussion in chapter 3 actually the forms of totalization. I think that is really what is most interesting here. They change names, they use even Islamic, they use Al-Fatihah for example as part of their process, for example. So there are a lot of adoptions of the external local culture, Islam or Japanese. The question is, you present this in a way that as the localization as it happened very smoothly, as there is no contestation in that process. So is it that smooth, or is there any dynamic in the process of localization, especially, for example, when they use Al-Fatihah, or when they change name, or when they do other things that is taken from our culture?
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, but actually, we have seen already discussion about that negotiation is better than balance, but I use the cultural ambivalence is the effect of globalization, the effect of negotiation. So it is I use the two different concepts in the two different positions. So when you negotiate when we negotiate the global cultural practices, yes, we have done, but what's the effect of this practice? The effect of this is the ambivalence. I think as Hamengkubuwono said that as much as we learn the Western knowledge, so we are still, and moreover we are still Japan. So
ambivalence usually refer to something that is contrast.
Yes, it's contrast, but I use it positively rather than negatively.
For example,
but because
ambivalence,
we need the cultural ambivalence in order to see the opposition to position both sides. But I use the cultural ambivalence if needed by the Japanese practitioner to be survived, because Pak Gababa said in post-colonial, because cultural ambivalence is very identical with post-colonial culture, post-colonial community. So because we are a society, so we need the cultural ambivalence, because it is in one side it's variable inside of our community, but in other sense we need it to negotiate it, to negotiate themselves, to negotiate ourselves with many diverse cultures in
essentially that's right, essentially, but the term might be.
The strength of talking about ambivalence also is that it recognizes that both sides are not essential, and the danger of localizing sometimes is Japanese culture becomes essentialized. And Japanese culture is, there's 100 million people that live here, or 150 million people, so there's a lot of, so just be careful about becoming too close to saying this is what Japanese people are like. And I think everyone helps you to recognize that it's not, people are always negotiating, always, and not under situations of their own choosing.
Yeah, we use the negotiation also, but I think that they cannot, because if in some moments the government of professional players, for instance, that is this text, part of text is very close as possible. It's very close as possible with the Japanese culture. But I think that they cannot be a pure Japanese.
According to him, it is,
Yeah. Okay. They are somewhere getting influences from the
and they,
Okay. Unless you have other last questions, you might close this session. Correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's some infos for you. Using terms and also summarizing, referencing, also some recommendations from another thing about using some very important reading. This is the body of the literature of the topic. If you miss one important read or writing, that can be also a question for you. That is very important. Thank you, Bapak and everyone for listening here. Let's take a break for 5 minutes. Come back here after 5 minutes.